Taiwan and the U.S. to sign first deal under new trade framework. Biden trips and falls during graduation ceremony. Singapore and China agree to set up high-level defense hotline. U.S. debt limit deal wins House passage. U.S. and Europe working on voluntary AI code of conduct. Efforts to defuse Kosovo crisis intensify. U.S. to require automatic emergency braking on new vehicles. Jordan royal wedding will reverberate across the region.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Friday, June 2nd, and here are your top stories. Taiwan and the United States will sign the first deal under a new trade talks framework on Thursday. Taiwan's Office of Trade Negotiations said in a brief statement the first agreement under the framework will be signed in Washington on Thursday morning, U.S. time. The U.S. Trade Representative's Office said Deputy United States Trade Representative Sarah Bianchi would attend the event. Last month, the two sides reached an agreement on the first part of their trade initiative.
Taiwan and the United States started talks under what is called the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade last August after Washington excluded Taiwan from its larger Pan-Asian trade initiative, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. The USTR said after the initial agreement is signed, negotiations will start on other, more complicated trade areas including agriculture, digital trade, labor and environmental standards, state-owned enterprises, and non-market policies and practices.
U.S. President Joe Biden tripped and fell after handing out the last diploma at a graduation ceremony at the U.S. Air Force Academy on Thursday, but got up quickly and walked back to his seat. The 80-year-old U.S. president fell forward, caught himself with his hands, then got up on one knee, helped by three people. He walked back to his seat unassisted. White House Communications Director Ben LaBolt said that Biden was fine. Doctors declared Biden healthy and fit for duty after a physical examination in February.
The fall came after a commencement address Biden delivered to a flag-waving audience where he warned graduates they will enter service in an increasingly unstable world, citing challenges from Russia and China. After Biden was helped up, he pointed behind him, seeming to indicate what he tripped over. He mingled with other officials afterward, smiling and giving a thumbs-up sign. But the incident is likely to spark more concerns about his age as the nation's oldest president seeks a second term.
China and Singapore agreed to work toward establishing a secure defense telephone link for high-level communications as the two nations seek to bolster ties and rising regional tensions. Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu laid the groundwork for the hotline in a meeting in the city-state on Thursday with his Singaporean counterpart Ng Han. Singapore's defense ministry said in a statement, high-level open lines of communication are important for strengthening mutual understanding and trust.
The announcement of the hotline comes ahead of a major defense conference in Singapore this weekend that will draw hundreds of delegates including U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. China has spurned a U.S. request for a meeting between their defense chiefs. China has previously said the U.S. must lift sanctions imposed on its top general in 2018 for overseeing an arms purchase from Russia before such a meeting could take place.
The U.S. House passed debt limit legislation forged by President Joe Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Lawmakers from both parties joined to approve the bill 314 to 117 Wednesday evening, sending the measure to the Senate for consideration. The debt bill would remove the threat of another default crisis for the remainder of Biden's current term, suspending the debt ceiling until January 1, 2025. In exchange, Democrats agreed to cap federal spending into 2025.
The deal now heads to the Senate, where approval is virtually certain and the only question is timing. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell said earlier Wednesday that the measure could get a vote as soon as Thursday, days ahead of the June 5 default deadline. Morgan Stanley economists estimate the entire package will have a negligible impact on the overall U.S. economy, likely dampening growth next year by a couple tenths of a percentage point.
这次加薪的幅度呢，我认为会是落在10%到15%这样的一个区间。 跟其他员工最大的不同部分呢，是我能够就像刚刚提到的，我可以在一个企划案还没有生成的时候，我可以先有一个远大的目标，我能够知道整个 big picture 是什么东西。
不好意思。
我的针对于这样的一个认可度，我大概有70-80%的把握，我可以获得升迁及加薪。
Johnny， 那个非常不好意思，我可能要在这边告知你，你已经被资遣了。对，是真的非常抱歉。那可能要麻烦你在下礼拜5之前，就是把你的个人物品先收拾干净，这样。有没有什么事我可以帮你的吗？那如果没有什么问题的话，再麻烦你把你的员工证交回给原主管，这样。好，那如果没有什么问题的话，我们今天就到这边。真的非常不好意思。
我可以知道是什么原因吗？
有同仁反映，最近冰箱的食物很常不见，我常常看到你在附近徘徊。我买的面包也是买了，然后1个下午就不见了。你该不会知道什么？
我不知道。
What we do, master your English and become irreplaceable in the workplace. Join Funday now. No matter your English level, we can help you elevate your competitiveness. Funday.
A top European Union official said on Wednesday that the United States and Europe are drawing up a voluntary code of conduct for artificial intelligence as the developing technology triggers warnings about the risks it poses to humanity and growing calls for regulation. European Commission Vice President Margrethe Vestager said at the EU-US Trade and Technology Council, "We need accountable artificial intelligence. Generative AI is a complete game changer." She added that a draft of the code was expected within weeks.
Vestager said officials will seek feedback from industry players, invite parties to sign up and draft a final proposal for industry to commit to voluntarily in the near future. The EU is at the forefront of the global movement to regulate artificial intelligence with its sweeping AI Act. The legislation is set for final negotiations, with political approval expected by year's end. However, Vestager said those rules won't take effect for 2 to 3 years in the best possible case, while AI technology is developing by the month.
International efforts to defuse a crisis in Kosovo intensified Wednesday as ethnic Serbs held more protests in a northern town where recent clashes with NATO-led peacekeepers left 30 NATO soldiers and 50 rioters injured. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron plan to meet on Thursday with the leaders of Serbia and Kosovo. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken urged Kosovo to use alternate locations for the new mayors and withdraw police from the vicinity of the municipal buildings.
The confrontation first unfolded last week after an ethnic Albanian mayor insisted on entering municipal buildings to take office. When Serbs tried to block the officials, Kosovo police fired tear gas to disperse them. Serbs are a minority in Kosovo, but they constitute a majority in parts of the country's north bordering Serbia. Many of them reject the Albanian majority territory's claim of independence. Kosovo's 2008 Declaration of Independence is recognized by Washington and most EU nations but not by Belgrade, Russia or China.
The U.S. government's auto safety agency, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, plans to require that all new passenger cars and light trucks include potentially life-saving automatic emergency braking and meet stricter safety standards within 3 years. The safety agency's chief counsel, Ann Carlson, says NHTSA wants to make the braking systems more effective at higher speeds and better at avoiding pedestrians, especially at night. She says 90% of new passenger vehicles already include automatic braking technology.
The regulation proposed by NHTSA will require, for example, that the systems allow vehicles to fully avoid other vehicles at up to 50 miles per hour if a driver should fail to react. According to NHTSA's estimates, the technology will dramatically reduce rear-end crashes, saving at least 360 lives per year. It also will cut injuries by at least 24,000 annually, and reduce property damage from rear crashes. The regulations will undergo a 60-day public comment period before NHTSA will decide on a final version.
The Middle Eastern country of Jordan is set to host its biggest royal wedding in years on Thursday as the country's young crown prince Hussein exchanges vows with Raja Al Seif, daughter of one of Saudi Arabia's wealthiest and most influential families. With a VIP list that includes First Lady Jill Biden, White House climate envoy John Kerry, and members of several European and Asian royal families, the wedding is sure to provide plenty of fodder for tabloids and gossip columns.
The Associated Press said the wedding is a big deal for Jordan's royal family. It's a chance for the monarchy to show its best face to its own public and also to the outside world. Both of the bride and groom attended college at prestigious universities in the United States. They speak fluent English. They clearly feel comfortable hobnobbing with other royals, business leaders, and politicians. Just like other royal families elsewhere, they will be living under a microscope even though they can look forward to a life of great privilege.
Now let's take a look at the vocabulary of the news of U.S. requiring automatic emergency braking on new vehicles. Number 1, undergo. 经历、经受变化不快的事情. Some children undergo a complete transformation when they become teenagers. Number 2, rear, 后部. There are toilets at both front and rear of the plane. Number 3, estimate, 对数量、成本等估计、估价. At least 5,000 people were killed, and that's a conservative estimate. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.